If you don't know who Chris Cole is, now is the time to learn. I think he could be Georgia's next great linebacker to come through the program. Now, I'm not saying that the current starters aren't great linebackers. In fact, Jalen Walker is playing out of his mind. I think he could be up for the Butkus Award. It's hard to find a linebacker in college football playing better than him right now. So maybe Jalen Walker does put himself in that same arena as Roquan Smith and Nakobe Dean. CJ Allen is playing his butt off. Raylan Wilson's playing tremendous. I think all three of those guys are going to play in the NFL. I think Jalen Walker could be a first-round pick easily with how he's playing right now. But Chris Cole is a freshman linebacker. If you don't know who he is, you got to start kind of following recruiting a little bit. Everyone who follows my work, everyone who normally watches this channel knows all about this young man. And Kirby Smart had a lot to say about him after the Texas game. If you watch the entire game, this young man, he's a new face to most Georgia fans, but he almost made a crazy one-handed interception. And it got me thinking, I don't think a lot of Georgia fans realize how good their two young linebackers are. Because yes, Jalen Walker, CJ Allen, Small London, Raylan Wilson, those guys are been playing really, really well. But the future is bright. This is what Kirby Smart had to say about Chris Cole, a former five-star linebacker from Virginia. Again, Dog Post members have known about this guy for years. But if you're, still kind of learning the roster and learning the young players, Chris Cole is definitely a name to know. I think he could be one of the greats to come through during the Glenn Schumann / Kirby Smart era. But this is what Kirby had to say about him. He said Chris Cole has made one of the biggest jumps from the time he arrived to now. He's put himself in a position to play because he has elite speed and flexibility to be able to cover, and he's got great length. I mean, this kid is long, he's athletic, he was a track and field star at a high school, but he moves so well, and he's like 6'3", about 220, 225, crazy long arms. There's a lot to like. There's a reason he was a five-star prospect. He said Chris Cole has improved immensely. He and Justin Williams, another five-star linebacker that's just a freshman right now at Georgia, are so high character with their toughness and intangibles. They almost compete against each other and drive each other off the scales in terms of competitiveness and doing things right no matter who's watching. I think that's a really good trait for young players to be like, it really doesn't matter who's watching. I'm going to go do it right every single time. And that's Chris Cole and Justin Williams. Chris has helped us. He's gotten smarter and smarter. And listen, no one's doing it better right now at the linebacker spot than Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart. No one's pumping them out like those two. And again, Jalen Walker is probably going to be a first-round pick, and he might be the best linebacker in college football right now. So it wouldn't surprise me with the way he's playing if he does win that award, maybe becomes a top 10, top 15 pick. No, Nakobe Dean wasn't, Roquan Smith was. But those, the standard at linebacker, you look at those two guys, Roquan Smith and Nakobe Dean, at least, during the Kirby Smart era, right? And Jalen Walker could be that third guy. Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker was really good. He was a first-round pick, but he wasn't Roquan or Nakobe Dean. And Jalen Walker's a different type of player. He's a little more versatile, can play, as a traditional outside linebacker and play on the edge, whereas Nakobe and Roquan, I think, were off-ball middle linebackers 100%, who could play outside if they needed to, but you didn't want them to. You want them to do what they do best and roam the middle of the field like a lion, stalking the running back like prey. And that's what those guys did. CJ Allen, Raylan Wilson, they bring, flashes of that type of play. But Chris Cole, I'm telling you right now, he was the number 2 linebacker out of the high school, right, last year in the 24 class. The only guy ahead of him was Justin Williams. And this could be the new kind of middle linebacker duo that we see, and it could be a lot next year. Small London is going to be gone. Jalen Walker is going to go off to the NFL draft next year. You're going to have a third-year CJ Allen and a third-year Raylan Wilson, and then these two guys right behind them. Chris Jones is there too, and Troy Bowles is still on the depth chart on the roster, right, with the team. But if those guys aren't playing, and we're seeing Chris Cole play more and more, and Justin Williams see the field more and more, if you're Troy Bowles, you might have to think about playing, entering that portal, playing somewhere else. Chris Jones the same way. But Chris Cole, a linebacker that I think Georgia fans need to keep a close eye on. He's out there here and there, but Kirby wants him to see the field. This guy has a really bright future. And just at linebacker in general, they are stacked with elite talent. And Chris Cole is definitely one of those guys. So we knew he was going to be good. I told all of our readers and our subscribers over on Dog Post how good, how athletic, how long he is. He's got the tools, he's got the intangibles, he's a high IQ player, smart, efficient, tough, gritty, electric. This kid does it all. And I do want to talk about a little bit more because Kirby had a lot to say, and that's kind of what I'm talking about in this video. Talking about some of the interesting things that he said in his last press conference. But before I talk about this player that I think gets a little too much hate from the Georgia fans, who's playing better than you think, I have to plug collegebronze.com. That's where you can get this bad boy right here. Is the #1 Georgia Bulldog statue on the market. You're not going to find anything else like this guy. Don't miss out on the discount. Promo code DOGPOST, DAWGPOST. The link to order is in the description in this video. That's where you click. You can order, and that's where you put in that promo code DOGPOST, okay? This is the only place you're going to get a discount on the #1 Bulldog statue on the market, so make sure you're doing that. Now, the guy I'm talking about is Oscar Delp. He's of course, the starting tight end. He is not catching as many passes as Brock Bowers did, obviously, because he's not that type of player. Lawson Lucky's catching, more passes than Oscar right now, but he's been a phenomenal run blocker who, has shown the ability to make big plays in the passing game, and he made a big catch against the Longhorns. But here's what Kirby had to say about Oscar, his third-year tight end that, again, I think is playing better than people realize. He said Oscar's one of the best blocking tight ends in the country. He works really hard. He's a tremendous kid. I think he would tell you that he's left some plays out on the field that he wishes he could have back, but he made the most of those. That's what you're judged on, is your competitive character for the next play. He made that play and has continued to do it, and hopefully he gets a bigger role in the passing game as we keep going down the road. So he is a sure-handed guy. He's not as fast or electric as maybe Brock Bowers or Lawson Lucky is, but he can make plays there. But there's a reason they run behind him. And if you see a big run play, or especially down, in the red zone around the goal line, they run behind Oscar, and he's making these key blocks week in and week out to help this team offensively. So just a quote that I thought was really interesting about a guy who is not making a ton of plays in the passing game. He's catching about 1, maybe 2 passes a game. But I think we could see a little bit more of that as the season goes along. And even if he's not catching a ton of passes, just know Oscar Delp is doing his job. He's out there. He's a big part of this offense. Kirby talked about the secondary as well, which was a real bright spot against Texas, right? Going into that game, the week before, they give up 300 passing yards and 30-plus points to Mississippi State, and there were some concerns, right? Can Dalen Everett hold up and be that guy that a lot of people thought he could be out of high school? He was a 5-star for a reason, a little bigger of a cornerback, so he doesn't, he's not the fastest guy they've had at the position, but he came and made big plays. Had the big interception, but Kirby Smart, he still wants more from that group. He's looking at these drop picks and even that interception from Dalen Everett, and he's like, hey, that you can stay on your feet there. You don't have to immediately fall down. Catch the ball, stay on your feet, and keep running. That's what turns a really good player into a great player. Make the pick, but keep going. Keep the play alive and run with it and try to score with it. You don't have to fall down. But on the secondary, he said, quote, we've been a work in progress. I don't know if I can say how young we are, but we are new. We're relatively new. We've got 3 guys that are starting in the NFL. Anytime you have 3 guys that are starting in the NFL, that probably means they played for you for at least 2 years. Those guys all did. So there's a lot of growing up that's had to do back there. They continue to work to get better. And all you can ask for your kids is to work, compete, be competitive, be tough. They do that. I'm pleased with how hard and the work, the progress that they've made. Or maybe when offenses make mistakes, we don't capitalize on that mistake. A lot of dropped picks. That was my reference last week after the game. I think some people took it to be about the offense. He's talking about the Mississippi State game. He said, my comments are about the number of drop picks we had in one game. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. That's where you have to hurt teams. You have to turn those into turnovers. And when you don't, they're just incompletions. So you've got to play the ball better down the field. So that's a group that can still get better. It's still a work in progress. They're headhunters, I know that, but Dan Jackson's playing phenomenal football. Malachi Starks is Malachi Starks. We saw a big game from Dalen Everett, Julian Humphrey. is going in the right direction after that Texas game. KJ Bolden's ready to rip your head off. Janelle Aguero, I thought, had a really nice game. So if that group continues to play better, it's going to be really tough to move the ball consistently and score points on this Georgia defense. The front seven's playing phenomenal. Again, talking about the linebackers, they may have the best one in college football in Jalen Walker. C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, they're all playing well. And on the line, if they get healthier and continue to get a healthier Michael Williams, Warren Brinson, to go along with the Nazir Stackhouse, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, Christian Miller, that group is only going to get better too. So big things ahead for the Georgia defense, but they've got some young, crazy, scary talent at linebacker, and Chris Cole is definitely a guy that you need to know about. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoy the next one. Get your Bulldog today, and I'll see you over on the website.